A reshaper wrote in the other day, and she asked a question that I thought was perfect to address because it's something that we can all anticipate, especially along this weight loss journey. So, and what she was asking about was the skin and what happens when you lose the weight. How much extra skin are you going to be left with? And especially if you're coming down from 400, 500, 600 pounds, it is highly likely that you will be left with some extra loose skin, because what happens is that the skin only has so much elasticity to it, and so when it's stretched out so much, it loses a lot of that elasticity, and so as you lose 150, 200 pounds, sometimes 300 pounds, there's going to be a lot of extra skin hanging, and so typically a lot of the different skin surgeries are done in several phases. Many surgeons, they'll prefer to actually take what they call the skin apron or the pannus. They'll remove that first with what's called a belt lipectomy. So that's when they actually remove that skin apron that's in front of the body. So that would be like the belly first. And then typically the inner thighs are sometimes left with some extra skin. Of course, the underarms and the chest area. And so many surgeons, they'll like to divide it up into several phases. But ultimately, you could lose, when all the weight is gone, the surgeons could remove between 10 and maybe even upwards of 35 pounds. Now, to put that into perspective for you, the average human has approximately 30 pounds of skin on them. So you can lose quite a bit of skin. In fact, David, in his surgery, he lost 32 pounds of skin. That's what he had removed over 4 phases of surgery. So just to put everything into perspective for you. So as you're losing weight, you can anticipate that a good 10 to upwards of 30, 35 pounds of that extra weight that you have on your body, a lot of it's going to be skin. And so when you do have the skin surgery to get that removed, you'll see a good 10 to 35 pound drop in addition to your current weight loss. So just a bunch of stuff to really look forward to. Now, the other question that she asked was, what's going to be more accurate for me when it comes to my loss? Should I be looking at measurements, or should I be looking at the numbers on the scale? And my answer is yes. I actually want you looking at both, because the one thing that I can promise you along the journey is that you will plateau. We hit these stalls, and stalls are inevitable, and they're textbook. They're supposed to happen. It's your body figuring things out, adapting to certain things. And also, I'm going to mention just a couple other little tricks of the trade as you hit those stalls, but stalls are going to happen. When they do, keep in mind though, if you stay the course, your body will continue to change. So when, say, the scale might be stalling, but the measurements continue to change, they go down. Sometimes also the measurements might stay relatively the same while the number on the scale is going down. So I always like to measure in several different ways. The more you can take your circumference measurements and your weight, fantastic, because the biggest thing is it's not so much the number on the scale, it's how that number is changing. Of course, with those measurements, we're always going to see them change, but sometimes they can stall just like anything else. And so it's really fun to kind of take both, but the best part is that usually with the measurements, you really don't see much of a stall there. They're always going to continuously change. Plus, at the very end, it's so much fun just to add everything up and see exactly how many inches you lose, because it's astounding. So I always want you to use both, but anticipate stalls in the weight loss on the scale. Now, another thing I want to bring up is that a lot of times people wonder why they stall. And actually, especially if you have a lot of extra tissue on your body and you are 300, 350, 400, up to 600, 700 pounds, keep in mind, you are very sensitive to sodium. And so just a little bit of sodium in your system can retain a whole lot of water. In fact, it is not uncommon for individuals who are 300, 400 pounds plus to be able to retain 10 to 15 extra pounds of water, especially if you're eating a lot of food, you're drinking a lot of fluids. If you get any high sodium foods in there, you're going to see the numbers on the scale go up, or you're going to be putting in a lot of work. However, you might see the number on the scale stall. Now, don't let it mess with your mind, because you are losing fat. What's happening is that your body's losing fat, but it's just maintaining a buffer of water in your system. And so if you can actually just reduce your sodium to a lower sodium diet, and of course definitely stay within those guidelines, upwards of 1,500, 2,000 milligrams, maybe even 2,500 milligrams, depending on what your doctor says. Just drop it into a lower sodium diet, and you're going to see the numbers on the scale come off because you can finally get rid of that blanket of water that's hanging onto your body. So, just a heads up for you, and something to be aware of as you're going through this journey. So, good luck. Keep up the great work, everybody, and keep the questions coming in. ReshapeTheNation@gmail.com. See you next time.